talking about power, man. The only way for us to gain real power is for black and brown to come together. ¿Entiendes?
Just because you're a cop and I'm a con, doesn't mean we can cooperate. I can give you tips from inside that can really help you out in the street. You got a lot of power out there, man.
You give me the fucking gun! I ain't going back, Paco! You owe me this one, vato loco! No! Nico, wait, I can't! Stop, please! Fuck you, detective! Stop, Roscoe!
Los Angeles Mirror. Los Angeles, California. Friday, February 17, 1956, article found on page 4. Title of article: Man with limp held in probe of bank holdup. And begins with: The FBI today held a tall man with a limp as a suspect in the $17,000 robbery of the West Covina branch of the California Bank, on November 30th. John Malone, agent in charge of the local FBI office, said the suspect, Joseph Morgan, 26, was arrested by FBI agents and deputy sheriffs last night walking along Pacific Coast Highway, near the intersection of Atlantic Boulevard and Long Beach. Morgan was to be arraigned today before U.S. Commissioner Theodore Hawka. He failed to make bail of $25,000. That ends the first article covering Joe Morgan's 1955 West Covina bank robbery. Our next newspaper story in the series of Joe Morgan news articles comes from the Pomona Progress Bulletin. Pomona, California. March 9, 1956, Friday. Article found on page 26. Article titled, Bank Robbery Case Dropped. And starts with: Bank robbery charges against Joseph R. Morgan, 26, of Los Angeles have been dismissed, and the suspect was released to the custody of state officials for prosecution for violation of parole. Morgan was arrested in the Long Beach area last month, in connection with the $16,776 holdup of the California Bank in West Covina. Bruce Bevan Jr., Assistant U.S. Attorney, said the charges were dropped because of lack of admissible evidence. Morgan faces a life term for parole violation, and also faces prosecution on a narcotics charge. He was convicted of second-degree murder in 1948, in the slaying of Jose Rojo. He was paroled last July, after serving 7 years of a 5-year-to-life sentence. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is continuing its investigation of the bank holdup. Still at large is a second man who participated in the holdup. That ends the Pomona Progress Bulletin. Our next article is also from the Pomona Progress Bulletin. Pomona, California. March 14, 1956, Wednesday, article found on page 23. Our article is titled, Bank Robbery Suspect Held. A second suspect has been arrested in connection with the robbery of the California Bank in West Covina on November 30th. Federal Bureau of Investigation officers yesterday arrested Ernest B. Lopez, 35-year-old ex-convict. He was ordered held on $25,000 bond, pending action by the federal grand jury after arraignment before U.S. Commissioner Theodore Hawka. The suspect told the FBI He has served more than 11 years in various prisons, and is now on conditional release from Alcatraz. Last month, Joseph Morgan, 26, was arrested, but the robbery charges were dropped, and the suspect was released to parole authorities for further action. Our final news article comes from Monrovia News Post Daily News. Monrovia, California. April 5, 1956, Thursday, article found on page 7. Our final article is titled, Grand Jury Indicts West Covina Bank Robbery Suspects. 2 men accused of the $17,000 machine gun robbery of the West Covina branch of the California Bank on November 30th, today awaited arraignment, after indictment by the federal grand jury. The indictments returned yesterday named Ernest B. Lopez 33, and Joseph Morgan, 26. Arraignment was set for Monday in the U.S. District Court. Armed robbery charges against Morgan were dropped earlier, and then refiled, after FBI agents reported uncovering new evidence. Salutations, and a clinch fist salute. Welcome, bienvenidos once again to the Outlaw News, the voice of the barrio, the voice of the vato loco, the voice of the voiceless. Everyone came suited and booted, armed with their critical thinking beanies right. Before you outlaw renegades appearing on your screen, is a screenshot from the book The Black Hand, a book written by one, Renee Boxer Enriquez, and investigative journalist, Chris Blatchford, of Fox 11 News Los Angeles. According to the highly popular bestseller book, The Black Hand, one Joe Morgan, apparently was shot in the leg during his arrest, related to the West Covina bank robbery, back in 1955. As you can tell cyber renegades by today's 1956 newspaper articles covering one Joe Morgan's 1955 alleged West Covina bank robbery. Morgan was never shot in the leg. Or was there some brazen exchange of gunfire during Morgan's arrest for allegedly robbing the West Covina Bank of California on November 30, 1955? Yet respected journalist Chris Blatchford intentionally writes Joe Morgan was shot in the leg during the 1955 West Covina bank robbery, though it seemed quite minor, maybe even a mistake made accidentally by Chris Blatchford. Highly respected journalist Blatchford and Boxer Enriquez also leave out other very important details from being published in the Black Hand book, such as the fact that neither Chris Blatchford or Boxer Enriquez felt it was of any importance to clarify to viewers that one Renee Boxer Enriquez was actually incarcerated in 1981 for a string of dope fiend-fueled robberies, plus also for participating in a gang raping of an intoxicated young woman at some backyard hood house party. Do you outlaw posse feel the book, The Black Hand, should have clarified and made it clear to readers why Boxer Enriquez was actually arrested and incarcerated for back in 1981? Do you YouTube cyber renegades think the sales and popularity of the book, The Black Hand, would have been affected negatively, plus cause Boxer Enriquez to probably not be seen as some snitch influencer hero by most of his fanboy groupies, especially the large female group of supporters Boxer Enriquez has currently? Do you think, if the truth was known by the masses, that one Boxer Enriquez is a registered sex offender, a convicted rapist, there would be public backlash toward Boxer Enriquez, even against law enforcement, for allowing such an individual to be used as an informant or credible source in court, knowing his past background as a violent predator and sex offender? Feel free to drop your 2 cents in the comments section, and like always, leave your thoughts or opinions. Not what your favorite snitch influencers indoctrinated you to think. Now, the Outlaw knows today's topic is focused on Joe Morgan, and here, we outlaw renegades are chopping it up about registered rapist, Renee Boxer Enriquez, and deputized investigative journalist, Chris Blatchford, from Fox 11 News. Well, due to there's not too much to talk about today regarding Morgan, till part 5, when we continue with Joe Morgan's 1955 alleged West Covina bank robbery. Today's video is pretty cut and dry. Morgan's arrested and charged with the bank robbery. Everyone pretty much knows this, or heard this from some snitch influencer before. What you YouTube renegades probably never heard before is the name Ernie Lopez, Morgan's alleged crime partner in the bank holdup. Ernie Lopez is an extremely interesting individual, and his life of crime, crosses paths with Morgan several times, during Morgan's rise to fabricated prison gangster godfather. Ernie Lopez is almost 10 years older than Morgan. Plus Ernie is also an original member of the Maravilla Barrio. The Outlaw's next video, Part 5, will specifically focus on the Ernie Lopez angle, plus connection to Morgan, and his involvement with the 1955 West Covina bank robbery. Trust and believe, you loyal outlaw renegades are going to enjoy Part 5. A perspective of Morgan, and the 1955 West Covina bank robbery not told by mainstream media previously, or some snitch influencers. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to The Outlaw, to be notified about future content. The Outlaw is going to give you YouTube renegades, the closest thing to a first-person perspective to what happened to Joe Morgan, and his alleged crime partner Ernie Lopez in 1956. The Outlaw would like to use the rest of today's video though, to finish discussing respected deputized investigative journalist Chris Blatchford.
A journey into a world most of us have probably never even seen.
Probably not. We started out, though, doing a story about kids and guns.
Blatchford is a well-known celebrity journalist here in California, whose exposés on the underbelly of street and prison gang subculture have made Chris Blatchford quite famous, and very wealthy, some would say. Everyone's seen one of Chris Blatchford's investigative reports on street or prison gangs, tag bangers, party crews, ditch parties, illegal street racing, or trendy drugs teens are using. In fact, one could say Fox 11 News' Chris Blatchford has the news cornered when it comes to street and prison gangs, plus any illegal type of criminal activities California's urban street culture may be into. No other news network covers gang-related stories the way Fox 11 News and Chris Blatchford does. Why is that though? Outlaw Posse, why does Fox 11 News and Chris Blatchford take such invested interest in covering the world of prison and street gangs so in-depth, while other news media outlets choose to cover only actual current crimes related to gang activities, in a similar fashion as other non-gang related news stories, and other news outlets never dedicate 10 to 20 minutes, even multi-part series on their street or prison gang related news stories? Outlaw Posse, and those of you who are not too aware of the political landscape of mainstream media television networks, well, they're all basically aligned with the right-wing Republican establishment, except most television networks will put on a show pretending to lean to left-wing politics or ideology, in order to give the naive public a false illusion of fair and balanced politics on television. Except for Fox Television Network though, they make no bones about being the #1 outspoken public voice of extremely right-wing politics, views, and ideology. The corporate members of Fox's television network are some of the biggest supporters of extreme right-wing conservatism, mass incarceration, deportation of Latino immigrants, and tougher sentencing laws for adults and minors. Fox Television Network corporate executives also heavily invest large sums of their corporate money into the privatization of prisons and immigrant detention centers. Simply put, Outlaw Posse, Fox Television Network have an invested interest in doing anything possible, even using their television network influencer powers to promote or encourage behavior of a self-destructive lifestyle to minorities, in hopes they might in the future end up arrested, imprisoned, or on some type of probation, monitoring program, or a state and federally funded drug program, ran by informant drug counselors. And Chris Blatchford is the #1 promoter of what the Outlaw feels should be referred to as exploitive news journalism.
Marketing tool has become getting party girls to strip. Several hundred people pack into an old basement storage area. Flashing hats identify the party club's cold crews. The dancing sensuous. The music almost deafening. The heat from the crowd literally fogs our camera lens. And the crowd breaks into a chant as two strippers take the stage.
A type of news reporting style mocked by Fox's own television hit show, The Simpsons, in one episode in which Bart Simpson becomes a famous television kid journalist by exploiting poor and homeless people for ratings, with no real intentions of using Bart's news station's resources to help the problems of minorities and the poor. As to Chris Blatchford, has become the Ron Burgundy of the Fox 11 News team by exploiting gang, an urban street culture for ratings and profits.
They blast walls, attack buses, and go to any height to get their names seen.
Just to get known, fame.
They call themselves taggers. Band together in groups called crews with as many as 500 members. Most of these kids are under 18. They should be in school. But this is a ditch party, or DP.
The DPs we throw, it's just like to have fun because we're bored of school.
Most say they just come to dance and have a good time.
Blatchford has used young, severely traumatized kids previously to glamorize and glorify the urban Los Angeles area Chicano gang culture. Blatchford uses troubled kids, who have no real family structure, who were also previously victims of physical and sexual abuse, runaways,
and ran away from home. Lifelong friend Ricky Contreras remembers why.
Nobody cared about him. He didn't feel love, you know. That's one thing he always would talk about.
Angel was only 6 when his father abandoned the family. That's about the same time he was molested by a middle-aged man in the neighborhood.
or on some extreme mind-altering psych meds, whose primary side effects are violent antisocial behavior. Instead of focusing on the real issues related to individuals' problems, Fox News and Chris Blatchford camera crew focus on youth talking about gang activities instead, throwing up gang signs, plus showing off gang weapons. Blatchford, who's so eager for ratings, Blatchford ordered his camera crew to film a young boy nicknamed Chucky, and another unknown African-American little boy fighting in an adjacent empty lot, in Compton's Tortilla Flats territory. As if the pair were just 2 jungle animals, fighting it out on some National Geographic's wildlife documentary. So my final question for you outlaw renegades, how many of you remember as a teenager, never given 2 cents about news, but stopped what you were doing to go home to watch a Fox 11 News, Chris Blatchford gang special? How many of you from the 90s generation heard about a new trend within the urban street and gang culture first, from a Chris Blatchford Fox 11 gang special report? Ditch parties, using nitrous, party crews, tag bangers, tagging crews, warehouse parties, even brown and black race wars. Chime in on the comment section below, YouTube renegades, with your answers. Now this is the most important question. How many of you OGs from the 90s feel Chris Blatchford Fox 11 gang specials actually encouraged more negative antisocial behavior than deter us youth from the negative activities Blatchford reported on? How many of you outlaw renegades witnessed a similar effect from Fox 11 and Chris Blatchford's gang specials, like that of American Me and Blood In Blood Out movies? Instead of discouraging urban street youth too, in actuality, it really encouraged more youth to participate in antisocial activities they weren't aware of before watching a Blatchford special report. Who noticed the small local neighborhood graffiti crews begin to write graffiti, dress, and behave more like gangsters, instead of the traditional colorful shirt and baggy pants tagger look? Who noticed suddenly everyone who wasn't previously gang affiliated in their barrio or hood wanted to be in a party crew or tag banger? How many of you social media outlaws began to receive flyers to local ditch house or warehouse parties after a Fox 11 Blatchford gang special aired? Leave your thoughts below in the comments. Your own critical opinions are a powerful tool in breaking the snitch influencer indoctrination. Chris Blatchford is a perfect example of the power and influence mainstream media, especially individuals such as Blatchford and his Fox 11 gang specials, have over the urban street culture in every barrio and ghetto across California. It's important to understand individuals such as Chris Blatchford and Fox Television Network play a major role in shaping the narrative and influencing the anti-social trends in every barrio and ghetto here in California. Chris Blatchford is the primary individual who influenced a large population of people to glamorize and idolize a known registered sex offender like boxer Enriquez, a man who many women champion as a reformed criminal who should be freed from prison to rape or kill another woman again, because they read Chris Blatchford's and Boxer's book, The Black Hand. A man who will continue to air gang special reports, in which Blatchford will continue to promote Joe Morgan as some iconic leader every Chicano should idolize, even though it's publicly known now, and Blatchford has always known the truth about Morgan's tainted background of snitch. A man and television network which will continue to use as credible sources compulsive liars such as Mundo Mendoza, a self-admitted serial killer who has perjured himself in previous court cases. A man and television network who who will continue to use their influence to promote and glamorize all the negative anti-social behavior and problems of the ghettos and barrios as cool or trendy activities every minority should engage or participate in, instead of seeking higher education or solutions to the problems in our barrios and ghettos. Because again, the outlaw must remind you that corporate executives and their companies, such as Fox Television Network, are some of the biggest investors in the privatization of incarcerating adults, youth, and immigrants in private corporate-owned prisons, juvenile or immigrant detention facilities. We're not just stripped of identity and dignity by being given a number instead of name. We become a profitable number on Wall Street Stock Exchange as well, cyber renegades. So remember, stay suited and booted, and strapped with your critical thinking beanie, cause the struggle is real, and bigger than some celebrity snitch influencers' propaganda. Don't forget to like and sub to The Outlaw, plus be on your toes for the next video. Y venceremos, indios dos lan.